Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan.
Warm up to grandeur that's beyond compare.
Set to arrive in India today to hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. US launches wave of airstrikes on Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthis over group's attacks against Red Sea shipping. Deadly tornadoes ripped through several parts of US, at least 26 killed. More tornadoes forecast in southeastern states. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer seeks concrete commitments from Western allies for post-truce Ukraine. Defence chiefs set to meet next week to firm up robust plans. And US President Donald Trump signs order to gut Voice of America and 6 other federal agencies. The US has launched a wave of airstrikes on Houthi rebels in Yemen, citing the group's attacks on shipping in the Red Sea. US President Donald Trump stated that the Houthi rebels, funded by Iran, have fired missiles at US aircraft and targeted troops and allies. The airstrikes, described as decisive and powerful, have reportedly resulted in at least 19 deaths and several injuries. The airstrike attack marks the first strikes to hit Yemen since the Gaza ceasefire deal took effect in January. US President Donald Trump launched military strikes against Houthis, warning hell will rain down upon you if the Houthis do not abandon their campaign against Red Sea shipping. Video shared by the US Central Command shows several fighter jets taking off from an aircraft carrier at an undisclosed location. The Houthi rebels, who control Sana'a and northwest Yemen, began targeting shipping in response to the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza. The group has launched hundreds of attacks on commercial vessels, prompting Trump to warn that such actions will not be tolerated. The US has vowed to use overwhelming lethal force to achieve its objectives. Speaking under conditions of anonymity, a US official said the strikes against the Houthis could last days and maybe weeks. Meanwhile, as the US president has launched military strikes against Yemen's Houthis, he has also warned Iran, allegedly the Houthis' main backer, that it needed to immediately halt support to the group. Donald Trump said in a social media post that if Iran threatens the United States, America will hold them fully accountable and the US won't be nice about it. And British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said on Saturday that Western allies other than the US were stepping up preparations to support Ukraine in the event of a ceasefire with Russia, with defense chiefs set to firm up robust plans next week. Starmer hosted a virtual meeting to marshal more pressure on Russian President Vladimir Putin to accept a ceasefire deal being pushed by US President Donald Trump. It also aimed to gather commitments to help secure any agreement, something Trump has made clear he expects Europe to take on. Around 24 leaders took part, including those from Germany, France, Italy, Canada and Australia, as well as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and NATO Secretary General, but not the US. Starmer said the coalition of the willing had reaffirmed its commitment both to helping Ukraine resist Russia's 3-year-old invasion and to securing any ceasefire that emerges from Trump's overtures to Russia.
Our militaries will meet on Thursday this week here in the United Kingdom to put strong and robust plans in place to swing in behind a peace deal and guarantee Ukraine's future security. President Trump has offered Putin the way forward to a lasting peace. Now we must make this a reality. So this is the moment to keep driving towards the outcome that we want to see, to end the killing, a just and lasting peace in Ukraine, and lasting security for all of us.
And during the same virtual meeting, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy urged Kyiv's Western allies to give a clear position on security guarantees, including about a potential foreign troop contingent on Ukrainian soil with a US backstop. Kyiv has rejected Putin's demands that Ukraine drop ambitions to join NATO and limit the size of its army, and that Russia take control of the whole of 4 Ukrainian regions it claims as its own. Zelenskyy said the issue of territory was complicated and should be discussed later. He also said Kyiv would never recognize occupied territory as Russian. Zelenskyy also said it was not true that Russia had retaken its Kursk region, which Ukrainian forces seized after an incursion across the border in August 2024.
Putin is lying to everyone about the situation on the ground, especially about what's happening in the Kursk region, where our Ukrainian forces continue their operations. Our troops have also stabilized the situation on the front in Donetsk region. I mean, Pokrovsk. It's a big work of our heroes and this big success, I think so.
And March 16 marks the anniversary of 2014 Crimean referendum, a vote that sparked international controversy and reshaped geopolitics. The referendum, held under Russian control, saw a majority of Crimean voters choose to join Russia, a move widely condemned by Ukraine and the West as illegal. Russia, however, considers it a legitimate expression of the people's will. As the region marks another year since the vote, tensions remain high. DD India's Anil Thomas gets us the details.
The referendum held on 16th of March 2014 saw Crimean officials report that over 96% of voters supported joining Russia. Days later, President Vladimir Putin signed a treaty formally annexing the region. However, Ukraine, the European Union and United States dismissed the vote as illegitimate, citing the presence of Russian troops and a lack of independent oversight. Each year, Russia commemorates the event with parades and speeches, while Ukrainian and Western countries impose sanctions. Meanwhile, ordinary Crimeans remain divided, some enjoying improved pensions and infrastructure under Russia, while others report crackdowns on dissent and restrictions on freedoms. As tensions between Russia and Ukraine continue, the status of Crimea remains a key point of contention on the global stage. Although Crimea is still governed by Russia, the political struggle for its status is far from done. One of the most divisive geopolitical conflicts of the 21st century is still the Crimea problem. The future of the region is still unclear despite ongoing diplomatic attempts. Bureau Report, DD India.
And Israeli strikes on Gaza have reportedly claimed lives of about 9 people, including journalists, in a latest update, sparking outrage and accusations of a blatant violation of the fragile truce. The truce in place since January 19 has largely halted over 15 months of fighting. Hamas officials have begun fresh talks in Doha, with Israel sending negotiators. However, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that Hamas has not budged in the talks. The Israeli military claimed it targeted militants operating a drone, but the Palestinian journalist syndicate condemned the attack as a heinous crime and a war crime under the Geneva Convention. Reporters Without Borders reported that over 140 journalists have been killed in Gaza by the Israeli military since October 2023. The truce talks are ongoing, with Hamas offering to release an Israeli-US hostage and return the bodies of 4 others. The situation remains tense, with 58 hostages still held in Gaza, 34 of whom the Israeli army has declared dead. Israel says it is prepared to continue Gaza ceasefire talks based on the mediator's response to a US proposal for the release of 11 living hostages and half of the deceased, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said on Saturday. And US President Trump's directives have led to the placement of over 1,300 Voice of America employees on leave and the termination of funding for Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty and Radio Free Asia. Voice of America's director Michael Abramowitz expressed sadness, stating the organization has played a crucial role in promoting freedom and democracy worldwide. The US Agency for Global Media, Voice of America's parent agency, employs around 3,500 workers within $886 million budget. Trump's order also targeted 6 other federal agencies aiming to reduce their operations to the minimum required by law. The move has been criticized by free press advocates, with the National Press Club and Reporters Without Borders condemning the cuts. The funding termination affects Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, which broadcasts to Eastern Europe, and Radio Free Asia, which broadcasts to China and North Korea. The move has sparked concerns about the impact on press freedom worldwide. Moving further, deadly tornadoes ripped through several southeastern states of U.S., leaving at least 26 people dead and many injured. The tornadoes ravaged several southeastern states, including Missouri, Kansas and Texas. Unfavorable weather destroyed homes, overturned large trucks and downed trees and power lines. The tornado was part of a severe weather outbreak moving east across the southeastern United States. Severe weather has caused significant damage across the region. The destruction has displaced residents. Emergency services and rescue efforts are underway. Forecasters warned of more tornadoes to come over the weekend, targeting Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi and Tennessee. Now, raging wildfires in the state of Oklahoma have devastated at least 170,000 acres of land, destroying nearly 300 structures and leaving thousands without power. The wildfires were fueled by a combination of controlled burns, dry weather conditions and strong winds. The state experiences hundreds of wildfires annually, affecting thousands of acres of land. White plumes of smoke continued to rise from small isolated fires that were burning in dry brush. And snow covers the city of Saint Etienne and the surrounding countryside in eastern central France. The heavy snowfall has led to challenging driving conditions, especially in rural areas. In response, 3 departments in the northern part of the massive central have been placed on orange alert due to the ongoing snow and ice conditions. Local authorities are urging residents to take precautions, with icy roads posing risk to travelers. Now, SpaceX founder Elon Musk has said its massive Starship rocket would leave for Mars at the end of 2026, with Tesla humanoid robot Optimus on board, adding that human landings could follow as soon as 2029. Musk, who is the founder of SpaceX and Tesla, suggested in a post on X that human landings could begin as early as 2029, though 2031 was more likely if the initial landings go well. Starship is crucial to SpaceX's future satellite launch business, a sector it currently dominates with its partially reusable Falcon 9, as well as Musk's aspirations to colonize Mars. In November, sources said Musk's dream of transporting humans to Mars would become a bigger national priority under US President Donald Trump, signaling big changes for NASA's moon program and a boost for SpaceX. We are slipping into a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. In Belgrade, over 100,000 demonstrators observed minutes of silence during anti-graft rally. Romanians take part in a pro-EU rally in Bucharest. And India's Minister Ashwini Vaishnav announces development of 2 major electronics manufacturing clusters in Tamil Nadu.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories.
More than tens of thousands of protesters descended on Serbia's capital Belgrade on Saturday, marking one of the largest rallies in decades. Serbia has seen months of anti-government rallies after 15 people died from a railway station roof collapse triggered accusations of widespread corruption and negligence. Streets were choked as protesters kept up a festive mood, lighting flares and chanting their slogan, "Pump it up." The protesters are demanding the release of documents about last year's railway station disaster in the city of Novi Sad and accountability for those responsible. Many had travelled hundreds of miles on foot or by bike. The government denies accusations of graft and incompetence and said that Western intelligence agencies are backing a push to destabilize Serbia. And thousands of Romanians took to the streets of Bucharest on Saturday to show their support for the European Union amid political disputes over a presidential election rerun scheduled for May. Romania is due to repeat its two-round presidential election on May 4 and 18 after the Constitutional Court voided the initial ballot in December following accusations of Russian meddling in favor of Calin Georgescu, who had been leading in the polls. The cancellation of the ballot has placed the EU and NATO state at the center of a dispute between Europe and US President Donald Trump's administration over free speech and suppressing political opponents. Centrists and independent candidates are set to contest the election along with the hard right, which has scrambled to replace Georgescu.
Democracy is really at stake as we speak. We have far-right candidates that, based on a hate speech that they have been promoting for months, they are now maybe some of them on top for the next elections. And obviously with a state that never was never prepared for what happened back in November when the elections were cancelled. Well, if we put these together, we come to the result that democracy is really at stake at this moment. So the reason for which we are here, and we invite everyone to join us, it's democracy. It's not perfect, but obviously it's better than communism and Russian, Russian vibes.
And New Zealand's Prime Minister Christopher Luxon is set to arrive in India today at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This marks Luxon's first visit to India in his current capacity, and he will be accompanied by a high-level delegation comprising ministers, officials, business leaders, media and members of the Indian diaspora community in New Delhi. During his visit, Luxon will engage in talks with PM Modi on March 17, covering various aspects of India-New Zealand relations. PM Modi will host a lunch in Luxon's honour, and the New Zealand Prime Minister is also scheduled to call on Indian President Draupadi Murmu. Luxon will be the chief guest at the 10th Raisina Dialogue 2025 in New Delhi, delivering the keynote address. He will also visit Mumbai, where he will interact with Indian business leaders and representatives from various walks of life. The visit aims to strengthen bilateral ties between India and New Zealand across all sectors and deepen people-to-people connections. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently had an engaging and thought-provoking conversation with renowned podcaster and AI researcher Lex Fridman. The discussion, lasting 3 hours, covered diverse topics including Prime Minister Modi's childhood, his formative years spent in the Himalayas and his journey in public life. This much anticipated 3-hour podcast with renowned AI researcher and podcaster is set to be released on Sunday. Lex Fridman described the conversation as one of the most powerful conversations of his life. Responding to the ex-post of Lex Fridman about the upcoming podcast, PM Modi wrote on X, and I quote him, "It was indeed a fascinating conversation with Lex Fridman, covering diverse topics including reminiscing about my childhood, the years in the Himalayas and the journey in public life. Do tune in and be a part of this dialogue," unquote. And India's Minister of Electronics and Information Technology Ashwini Vaishnav visited the IIT Madras Centre for Innovation on Saturday, which organized its annual open house event showcasing 60 cutting-edge technological innovations developed by nearly 1,000 students across 26 teams. CFI, one of India's largest student-run innovation labs, houses 14 clubs spanning diverse technological domains alongside 8 competition teams that actively participate in national and international events. Minister Ashwini Vaishnav inaugurated a private electronics factory, Z-Work, in South Indian state of Tamil Nadu's Tiruvallur district on Saturday. The minister also laid the foundation stone for expansion projects at the facility. The event marked a significant step in India's journey to becoming a global hub for electronics production. The minister emphasized the growing importance of electronics in India's export portfolio.
Electronics has become the second largest export item. Second largest export item in the country, overtaking many conventional industries which had developed export over decades. And just see, within one decade, electronics has become the second largest. And this was possible primarily because of a very clear thinking and very focused execution. And in the execution, the state governments have all supported. So I thank all the state governments, including the government of Tamil Nadu, for all the support which has come in execution of Prime Minister Modi ji's vision.
Sports now. An exhibition match between PGV and equipment teams was played as part of the BMC Advisors Polo Cup 2025 on Saturday. The match took place at Jaipur Polo Ground in Delhi. Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta inaugurated it by throwing the first ball. In an exciting contest, PGV defeated equipment 6-3 to claim the trophy. Lok Sabha MP and PGV team captain Naveen Jindal expressed his joy over the win, stating that polo is India's sport and today it is being played in a new form.
Polo is on the rise. Polo is India's gift to the world, and it's our responsibility at the Indian Polo Association, where the Chief of the Indian Army, General Dwivedi, is the president. I, along with 2 other people, are vice president of Indian Polo Association, and it is our endeavor to again make polo very popular. And I think polo is gaining in popularity, and all the people who come to watch polo, they really enjoy. They have much better time watching polo. They have a great evening, such a beautiful surroundings. So polo is on the rise, and that's what we want.
And during the thrilling match between PGV and equipment, spectators in the stadium were seen cheering enthusiastically for their favorite players.
Here, very delighted to enjoy this marvelous event, polo event, with the best player.
I like polo sport. I realized when I arrived here that there is a tradition in India about polo, and I started to come here almost every year. And
we used to play this game oftenly, but BMC advisors bring this game to normal people or the common people, and the match was astonishing.
Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.